Hi students, this is your video to accompany your final paper assignment. The final paper is a white paper, and the focus of this white paper is a genre of technical communication. So on the screen right now is the prompt. I'm going to go through the prompt with you in this video, and then I'm going to show you a lot of online resources that will help you complete this assignment successfully. So from the section entitled Background that is on your screen right now, the first paragraph there concerns the fact that the genre white paper is actually quite diffuse. It can mean many different things. So I point you to some resources that I want you to look at to learn a little bit more about what a white paper is. So one resource that has a pretty snappy title is That White Paper Guy, and I'm going to show you his website in just a minute. But one of the things he says is that there are several different kinds of white papers, but what they do not do is make an overt sale pitch. They're informational documents. The kind that you are going to be writing is in the backgrounders category. That's his title for the category. But in a backgrounder, you write a paper that, as he says, zooms in on one specific offering with a microscope. So you're going to be zooming in on one particular genre of technical communication with a microscope. So you're going to pick one technical writing genre and do a deep dive into it. You are, in effect, going to be promoting it to me as a genre that can quintessentially exemplify technical communication. Because you've learned so much about the profession this semester and you've worked in a few different genres and you've learned about more, I want you to pick one and tell me how you think it exemplifies some of the key features and key skills that technical communicators work with and have. You also are familiar with the 9 proficiencies of technical communication as outlined in the Intercom article from the Society of Technical Communication. You're going to want to use those as a guideline for understanding how exemplary practice in this genre reveals that somebody is proficient or practices the proficiencies. Not all of them. You don't have to go through and enumerate them in your paper, but if you want to use that language, which I recommend you do, you should think about that. So in this assignment, I say, for example, if a tech writer is proficient in content development, written communication, and content management, he or she is certainly guided by a clear understanding of a genre's expectations, standards, templates, and applications relative to an audience's needs. So you would sort of talk through that in your paper, given the genre that you've chosen. So in your 6 to 7 page report, you are going to give me crucial background about a technical communication genre. Think about the genres your book exposed you to, the ones your technical communication practitioner discussed. What do you want to pick? The field report, the status report, the instructions video, newsletter, a government proposal, an email template, executive summary, equipment usage procedures, inspection manuals, white paper. That one's sort of a tongue-in-cheek, self-referential example. I'm going to show you a few variants on those genres in a few minutes, but this is just to get your brain thinking about some of the categories of communication across modes that we've looked at. So you are not writing a recommendations report. You are not landing on a solution to a problem. You're not trying to sell me anything, but you are trying to promote this genre to me as quintessentially demonstrative of the skills tech writers excel in. You are proving to me that you've studied this genre, you understand its standard conventions, and you understand how it exemplifies clear communication practices when well done that define the work of technical communicators. So you are seeking to persuade me, as it says at the top here, that you know this genre well. You need to give examples of it and analyze them, and you need to provide research to support your analyses from reputable sources. I'll come back to that in a minute. And you also want to design your white paper, your own white paper, so that you represent your comprehension of some of the best tactics of document design for effective understanding of information. So you have to, these are the required components, you have to write 6 to 7 pages. You have to have narrative text as well as other kinds of structured text, maybe bulleted lists, call-out boxes. You're going to want to use photos, illustrations, data visualizations, and graphics as needed in your particular project. And you need 6 cited sources cited in the body of the report and a references list. At least 6 sources. One can include the Intercom article, and all should be referred to and quoted from in the body of the paper. And all in-text citations need to be in AP format. of your 6 sources, at least 3 need to be scholarly articles. The other 3 can be websites, pertinent professional websites. For example, that white paper guy, that is not a scholarly source, but it is a reputable source. Okay, so here are the due dates listed, and here is a breakdown of the grading. This is a very detailed articulation of the grading. So if you went through and worked through this list of grading criteria, you would have a pretty good outline of what you need to do in the assignment. Okay, so first of all, if you look at our course calendar, and while I'm doing a screen recording, sometimes my scrolling is a little bit slow. But here we are in week 13, and you'll see that in week 13 I have 2 links here listed, and this is some information about white papers. It also says that PDFs are included in week 3, but that's supposed to be 13. But the links here do work, so I might not include the PDF links because one of these is a website, and so is the other, so including them as PDFs probably wouldn't work. But if you go to those links, you will see that you'll get to this website, Prose Write. That's the second one mentioned on the syllabus. And this guy actually provides a really interesting analysis about what white papers do and what they are. And he has a resource list at the end of this page. If you keep scrolling down, he has a table of what various scholars say about what white papers have and what they don't have. And then he lists a bunch of resources at the end. And what I wanted to point out to you is that this is very much what you need to do. He is including some resources from like scholarly documents like a dissertation, from scholarly journals like Technical Communication. He has 2 resources from that. So this is a really good example of how to incorporate scholarly resources. Another resource that I provide you in the course calendar itself is to the Purdue OWL, the online writing lab. Once you get to the OWL, there's a button up in the corner, up above where it says OWL, that's a magnifying glass, which means search. In the search bar, you type in white paper, and when you get to white paper, you will get a bunch of different hits. This page is white paper. What is a white paper? So you can scroll through this and learn more about what a white paper is. Now, this next resource that I'm showing you is the white paper guy's actual website. You can't quite see the whole screen here as I have the screen cropped, but the page here is, I mentioned it in the assignment, that if you get to the FAQ page, you can go to white paper definitions, and you can see what he says about the background or subgenre of the white paper, which is the kind that you are working with. Okay, so when I was thinking about this, I was like, well, I want to do something innovative with a white paper, not just a sort of boring document with just alphabetic text on a page. So I wanted to show you all that there's a wide variety of strategies for writing and engaging white paper today in the 21st century. What I have up on the screen here is just a Google Images page that aggregates many examples of white paper. I just put in white paper examples and looked at images. And so you can see here that some are very standard, 2-column black font on white page, pretty boring. But like this one here has lots of color used, it's some bar graphs used. This one down here, Portland landscaping expert discusses overcoming soggy lawns. This is an informational white paper about that topic. It includes 2 columns and color in a very engaging way. And if you go to do a Google search yourself, you'll see all different kinds of images of different strategies for writing a white paper in a visually appealing way. Okay, so now moving on to the next part of this video, I wanted to show you some possible avenues for pursuing a genre. Okay, so what I did was I went to the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission's website. They're a big governmental body, and they have a lot of documents related to nuclear regulation. So I was looking into this genre, inspection procedures. And so on their in their library, I went into the documents collection and I selected, you can see there's a breadcrumb trail right here. I went into the documents collection and inspection manuals, and I looked in inspections procedures. So then I scrolled down and I picked one. And this is the one I picked. Design Changes and Modifications. This is a Nuclear Regulatory Commission inspection manual. This one's pretty old, but you can see that it's got some features that if you look at many of these over time, you'll see that they share some formatting standardization, and they have standard categories. From your interviews with practitioners, those of you who met with Sandians, you understand that some of the things that they do are very driven by templates. So this example here is quite old. It's from 1990. But if you poke around on the this particular website or other government websites, you can see that there are a whole lot of genres and subgenres that you would want to do research on. So let's say that this is one of the ones that you chose in this larger category of inspection manuals. And let's say you looked at some inspection manuals from various governmental organizations, like this one from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and maybe from like the EPA, who knows, from some other governmental bodies. And then you compared these manuals to each other. You would have to be quite forthright about when they were written. Of course, technology dictates how they look differently sometimes. But you would want to show screen captures in your report, and you would analyze them. You would point to their organizational strategies, their use of headings, the kinds of tone they use in their writing. So this is just one example that I picked out, the inspection manual as a genre. Okay, so moving on, what I did next is I looked up U.S. government technical proposal. You can't see it at the top in my Google search bar, but that's what I typed in. Just to see what other U.S. government bodies include as information concerning writing a technical proposal. That's another genre. And you can see that many different, the Small Business Association has its own instruction sheet on preparing a government contract proposal. The FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, I think that's what the acronym is, they have instructions for preparing a technical proposal for government contracting. So if you look through, you'll see that various governmental arms or bodies have their own instructions for technical proposals, and you'd want to look at these examples, and then you could probably find some of the example technical proposals themselves and examine those. Let's say you chose technical proposal. Okay, so then let's see here. Then the next thing that you want to do here is I went to Google Scholar. So this is how I'm going to do my first pass at finding scholarly resources about government proposals. That's what I'm pretending to be working on right here. So I put into my search string at the top, and let's see if I can also show it to you here. I have my window here a little bit small, so there we go. Okay, so I put in technical communication in quotation marks, which means that that term is going to come out of these search results exactly that way. The quotation marks delimit it that way. And I put writing as sort of a mixed bag. It's going to allow various hits to come in, but it doesn't have to be technical communication writing, all in quotation marks, because that would constrain it too much. And then I put government proposals in because I want exactly that phrase, exactly the phrase government proposals. So I got a lot of hits. Now, this is coming from Google Scholar, so you know that these are scholarly resources, and you can tell that they've been cited by other scholars, cited by 9, cited by 14, cited by 4, cited by 61. Now, not all of these are going to pertain. Finding funding, writing winning proposals for research funds. This would give some instructions on how to write a government proposal that will be successful. So this comes from the journal Technical Communication. This one here, this talks about the effect of proposal appearance on the evaluation of a government proposal. That would give you some really interesting information about that genre of government proposals. This comes from the Journal of Technical Writing and Communication. What you'll notice, though, is this comes from 1977, when technology was quite different. This is from 2004, closer to today. You'll want to scroll through, and you can actually delimit your results to make them more recent. But if I ask you to give me a historical overview of the evolution of this genre over time, it would be useful to look at something old and at something new. All right, so once you find on Google Scholar, you don't have to use Google Scholar as your search database, but I usually start there. And then I backtrack to UNM Zimmerman Library. In this case, I know I'd be looking for the journal Technical Communication from the year 2004. So I would go to the Zimmerman Library search page and I would go to Journals and I will put in the journal name, Technical Communication. And because I'm off campus, it's going to ask me to log in again. But once you get to that journal name, you'll be able to click on it and you'll have full access to its back catalog. So it pulls it up here, Technical Communication, which is different from Technical Communication Quarterly, but you'll go to Technical Communication and you could pull that article up and read it and use that information in your white paper to try to persuade me of your knowledge about this genre here. Okay, so now back to my Google Scholar results page. So this is how you're going to do your scholarly research. The last thing I'm going to show you here is a past student's example of a white paper. Now this, let's see, where is it? What is my syllabus here? Oh, here it is. Okay, so this student, he was writing a white paper on a different subject in a 290 class, but nevertheless, his design is really useful for you guys to look at. He's got some interesting tables. He uses headers that are interestingly formatted. He's got figure captions here at the bottom of each figure. He uses bullet pointed lists. He uses call out boxes. He uses some graphics, all very interesting. The intention here is to make me want to read this at the same time as I'm convinced that you understand strategies for appealing to your audience, making your document readable. You can also see that this student has a secondary source mentioned here in parenthetical citations, which is following APA. And then at the end of this student's report, the student has a references page. But this is a really good looking white paper. So there's the references page. Okay, so I wanted to leave you with that example. And once you read through this assignment and you watch the video and you start thinking about the genre you want to focus on, reach out to me with any questions you might have. This is the first semester I'm doing this version of this assignment, so we'll all hope that it goes well. And if you need any further clarification on any aspect of it, just reach out to me and I'm happy to help you. You have lots of time to work on this assignment from when it's assigned to when the final draft is due on the first day of exam week. So there's lots of time to really finesse your final product. So you're showing me that you understand the genre well and you understand some of the key features that technical communicators need to possess as skills to be proficient in communication standards in the field.